Hey everyone, this is GFrom bringing you my second video game review, which is Megaman for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So, let's get started right away, shall we? Dr.Wily, a mad scientist, programs 6 robot masters and uses them in an attempt at world domination. However, his contrahand Dr.Light creates a battle robot called Megaman to stop Dr.Wily's evil plan. So Megaman has to defeat all of the robot masters and Dr.Wily to save the world. As I said, you have to defeat all of the robot masters. The special thing about this game is that you can choose in which order you want to do it. Once you've picked a stage, you have to walk through it to get to the boss. On your way you have to climb ladders, master tricky jumps and fight your way through a lot of enemies and obstacles. In the middle of the stages and in front of the boss rooms there are checkpoints so you don't have to start all over again when you die. At the end, of course, you face a robot master. After you defeat him, he passes on his unique weapon to you. Every boss has his strength and weakness, so you have to figure out in which order is the easiest to progress through the game. Unlike his standard pea shooter, however, the robot master powers have limited ammunition which must be replenished by collecting ammo cells randomly dropped by defeated enemies, which also can drop energy, point pellets or an extra life. After you've defeated all the robot masters, you think you're up to fight against Dr. Wily. Well, not quite yet, because there are 4 more stages to complete with several more bosses. By this time you should have 7 unique weapons and an item called the magnet beam, which is very useful. To move Megaman into the direction you want it to go, you of course use the D-pad. In order to jump, press the A button. To shoot, push the B button. With start, you bring up the weapon select screen, and with select, you pause the game. I have no issues with the control setup at all. The game plays very well. The level design of Megaman is pretty good, especially compared to other NES games at the time. Every stage fits the theme of its robot master and they all differ a lot from each other. However, if you look close enough, the game looks a little rough around the edges in my opinion, but I don't mind that. Also, and here I might get flamed, but it's my opinion, I never thought that Megaman himself looks cool at all. In fact, when I look at him nowadays, I think he looks more like a fat Teletubby. Not that that's a bad thing. Despite that, his animations are solid. The robot masters look original, even though Iceman looks more like an Eskimo than a robot. Or is he an Eskimo bot? Who knows? The stages were designed to be hard, and they truly made it. Whether it's a tricky jump or disappearing blocks, this game is a hard mother. I have 2 favorite stages, the first being the first Wily stage and the second being Cutman stage. Both especially because of the music, which leads us to... This is where the game shines brighter than the sun. The music is pure 8-bit greatness. In Mega Man you find some of the most memorable tunes of its console generation, such as Cutman and Elecman stage. I really have to give credit to the composer, especially after hearing arrangement on these 2 songs. This is when you realize how awesome these tracks really are. The other stages have good music as well, my favorite being Bomb Man stage. I could listen to this all day. Or at least a couple of minutes. The boss music is also pretty good, as well as Wily's theme. And who doesn't recognize the victory music? I always think of DuckTales when I hear this, because I played that game before this one. And they're very similar, because it's the same composer. The sound effects sounds good as well. If you're somewhere and hear that sound of the pea shooter from another room, you know someone in the house is playing Mega Man. That's good audio quality right there. Mega Man was developed and published by Capcom in 1987, but us poor Europeans got it in 1989. The concept of this game was inspired by rock, paper, scissors. Mega Man himself is blue because of the NES's limited color palette. Imagine if it was brown, the brown bomber. Doesn't sound nearly as good as the blue bomber, does it? The game is generally considered to be one of the best Mega Man games for the NES, behind the second and the third in the series. Nintendo Power rated it the 61st best game for a Nintendo system ever created. The American box art is legendary for its ridiculous picture. Just look at it, I laughed my ass off when I saw this first. European box art isn't much better either, but I think we got the better shitty cover. Hahaha, what a jerk, he's in his 40s, goddammit! Okay, everyone who has played this game knows what I'm gonna tell you right now, but let's keep that one for last. First I want to tell you in which order I always play through this game. First you defeat Cutman. With the rolling cutters you can defeat Elecman easily, but before you go to this level you need the super arm from Gutsman. Gutsman's weakness is the hyper bomb, but you don't really need it. I think you can defeat him with the pea shooter. After that you go to Elecman stage, where you can get the magnet beam, which you must have later in the first Wily stage. Next up is Iceman, who you can defeat easily with the thunder beam. With the Ice Slasher you of course defeat Fireman, and finally you set Bomb Man's ass on fire with the Firestorm. There sure are better ways, but I prefer this one. Another thing, if you need ammo, don't worry. If you leave a screen which had ammo and you return to it, it respawns. And finally, the trick that everybody knows. Having trouble fighting the Yellow Devil? Select the Thunder Beam and use the pause trick. What's the pause trick? Shoot the Yellow Devil and as soon as you hit him, repeat pushing the pause button over and over again. He will take damage every time, which makes this nearly impossible boss fight a piece of cake. There are quite a few things that piss me off a lot. Before I start ranting, this is a really hard game. By far the hardest Mega Man game. That's not a bad thing, I like being challenged, but sometimes it's just too much. The spikes in this game are the worst. Touch them once and you're dead. That gets pretty damn annoying if you ask me. Another thing that is really stupid is when you're on a ladder and select a weapon, Mega Man respawns and falls down if you don't push up immediately. Hate it when you pause the game because you have to go somewhere, you come back and don't think of this, you fall down and die. Another thing that I hate is that not just the ammo respawns, which is a good thing, but the enemies as well. That gets frustrating as hell when you fight one of those bastards. You back up a bit, he disappears, you go forward and he comes back with full energy. And sometimes a second one comes to join the party. That sucks real hard. I also never liked the disappearing blocks of doom. The first time I played this, it took me forever to get past these. These platforms in Gutsman stage and the last Wily stage suck too. The jumps are extremely tricky and it takes a whole while to figure out when to jump. And these things I hate the most. They don't follow a regular pattern, it can take forever before they even come down. And then you end up dying most of the time anyways. That's the reason why you should go to Elecman stage as early as possible, because the magnet beam helps out a lot, and I mean a lot. And again, why is the music slower in Europe than in America? It's still good, but it's not nearly as good as in the US. We Europeans always get screwed. While I had many complaints, the good things outweigh the bad things. No joke. First off, the concept is brilliant. I like the idea of choosing which way you want to go. The robot masters are pretty cool and their weapons are useful as well, with the exception of the hyper bombs, which I never really use. Also, the magnet beam is like a gift of God, making these cruel parts a lot easier. But the most important thing, this game is a lot of fun. Playing through these well-designed stages with some sweet 8-bit tunes makes me wish I was born a little bit earlier. This game proves that even if a video game is hard as hell, it can still be a lot of fun to play. And I haven't even mentioned the fight with Mega Man yet. Yes, you fight yourself in the second Wily stage, which is pretty epic. I also like the fact that you fight all of the Robot Masters a second time in the second and fourth Wily stage. Mega Man. While it's hard as hell and pretty frustrating, it's an enjoyable platformer and one of the best games on the NES. It's fun to run around and shoot stuff, and I think this game is pretty addicting. While old school gamers definitely should go back and check out this game, inexperienced 8-bit gamers might get a nervous breakdown trying to complete this game in one sitting, since there's no password system, which is fine by the way. This is no game for pussies, it's made for the hardcore only. I had an NES back when I was a kid, but we never had a copy of Mega Man, which is really a shame. I'm sure I would have liked it, who wouldn't? But wow, when I played this game the first time, I wish I had someone to shout at, because I died and died and died over and over and over again. With that being said, thanks for watching, I hope you liked my review and we'll check out Mega Man sometime in the future. My next review will be Alien Trilogy for the PS1. I'll see you later, have a nice day.